Welcome back, my young friends. I'm delighted to see you again. I wasn't sure you'd be back after yesterday's lesson. I mean, things did get a tiny bit tense, did they not? Well, knowledge can be painful in the gaining, you know what I mean? I certainly hope I didn't offend anyone. I just cannot, I will not accept poorly constructed arguments that have been hastily put together, that haven't been completely thought through. Well, where are my manners? That's absolutely correct. Some of you weren't at the home of our good friend Polemarchus last night when we began our discussion on what justice is, and more importantly, what makes a just society. Perhaps a quick review is in order, particularly for those of you who are just joining us. You see, students, when we begin to discuss justice, you will quickly learn that many people will offer a variety of definitions. The point I hope to make is that if you're not very careful, if you, for example, we blindly accept the old cliches that one might overhear at the marketplace or at the feet of some rambling sophists, if we're not careful, we begin to repeat those definitions as if they were true. But I want my students to carefully take apart every definition they might hear and not blindly accept conventional wisdom. For example, when defining justice, we oft hear that tired old chestnut that justice can be defined as really nothing more than telling the truth. Fairly debatable itself for those whose truth, for whose truth are we telling? And always repaying debts. Now, here's a fine definition of justice. But upon closer inspection, weak and thin, suppose I borrow an axe from my insane friend, who I know to be violent. Now, when the time comes to repay that debt, I think there is a very, very good chance that my insane friend will use that axe to hurt some folks. Should I return it? Of course not. The only just thing to do is to keep the axe as far away from Mr. Crazy. In fact, I am morally obliged not to return that weapon, not to repay the debt. So then you might say, very well, Socrates, that a good definition of justice would be always helping our friends and harming our enemies. That seems straightforward enough, yes. But consider your example, students. Has there ever been a time when doing harm to your enemies has led to greater justice? On the contrary, doing harm to others always leads to injustice. See, my young friends, if you're not careful, the first definition you come up with will be the one you stick with, even though it is badly flawed. Like life itself, your definition must be fully examined. Oh, now where were we? Ah, yes, justice. You might next take the approach that justice is a vague term and so very abstract that it is impossible to define. To wit, justice never truly existed in society because all societies are flawed. But if we start to develop our perfect city-state that is built upon reason and justice, and most importantly, philosophy, is justice nothing more than the advantage of the stronger, the ruling class? Couldn't we say that in our current city-state, the rulers are the ones who make the rules, and the laws on the books are merely their opinions and viewpoints? And that justice is nothing more than what the powerful say it is. How very cynical of you, my young charges. When did we become so pessimistic? Isn't it more likely that good rulers always know their craft? In this case, how to rule. You may think me naive, but I believe that properly educated craftsman produces the best crafts. In our discussion of justice, or more to the point, our discussion of the rulers in a just society, there is a very clear analogy between the just man and the ideal republic. Do indulge me, if you will. I have already explained to many of you that every man's soul is divided into three parts. There is the part of the soul, which is concerned with spiritual matters. Part of the soul concerned with physical matters, and the part of the soul which is concerned with rational matters. Now, the spiritual part of the soul is concerned with gaining honors and praise from its fellows. The physical part of the soul chases money and objects. The rational part of the soul, the highest and most pure part of the soul, is concerned only with philosophical matters, seeking of truth, wisdom, We can see a parallel between the just individual and what I'm calling the just society, this ideal city-state that I've been hinting at. In the just man, the rational part, his soul rules over his other appetites. In the society, which runs on justice, the members of the society all work together for the good of that society. But who are the best individuals to rule this utopian society? Quite simply, the just ruler. In this individual, his entire soul strives for the fulfillment of the desires of his rational being. Same as the just society. The entire society strives for the following of the just rules put forth to them by the rational and wise rulers. Pardon me, my young students. There's quite a lot to digest. And speaking of digesting, it's almost lunchtime. Let's sum up everything we know about justice and the ideal society. For a society to be just, it must be ruled by good rulers. Good rulers must be wise, and the wisest people are philosophers. Therefore, our ideal society must be ruled by philosophers. Now we know that in order to wipe out injustice, power, and the pursuit of wisdom must become one and the same. Only then will we have our ideal society. Only then will we know justice. Well, I'm off to the marketplace to find a good meal. Coming along? No? Very well then. Keep up your studies until then, and I know we will visit again very, very soon. Farewell, and don't forget about justice. No justice, no peace.